I've been cooking for quite a few years now. So many recipes have come and gone, but there are wonderful classics that are as popular as ever.
In this series, I'll show you how to cook some of the best of them in my very special way.
I'm just saving on the washing up.
From delicious, light ideas that take no time at all.
I'm going to be helping with your school dinner.
Yes! To tempting dishes inspired by our green and pleasant land.
I enjoyed that.
And some favourites from the past that are making a great comeback.
Whoa! How about that then? These dishes can often seem daunting, but I'm going to show you some tips and techniques that make them quick, easy and simply delicious. And most importantly, with almost no fuss.
In this programme, ideas for timeless entertaining.
It is absolutely breathtaking. I absolutely love entertaining, from planning the menu to laying the table, and of course there'll be plenty of fresh flowers.
This is a feast with something for everyone. My succulent crisp roast that's irresistible. The perfect dish for a romantic evening. A family classic that children will adore. And a beautifully simple pud that's my absolute favourite. But first, a timeless starter, a Scandinavian classic that never fails to impress my guests.
For years, yonks, I've been serving Gravlax for special occasions. The classic Gravlax is with sugar, salt and dill. I'm doing a modern twist on it and using beetroot instead of the dill. I've got a piece of salmon here. I've descaled it and taken any fins off, and there are no sign of any bones there.
It couldn't be more ready for curing. Mix together the magical blend of grated raw beetroot, demerara sugar, salt and a little pepper.
Pile it on all the way down. Easy so far? That's it. Now I'm going to wrap it up.
Whilst the salt and sugar draw out the moisture, the beetroot will seep into the salmon, turning the flesh a striking deep pink.
I want to keep all the juices in, and in 24 hours you have Gravlax. It couldn't be more simple.
No cooking is required, just a weighted tray to bed it down and an overnight stay in the fridge. Plenty of time to rustle up a punchy sauce to partner it. Mix some fiery horseradish and cool creme fraiche with a store-cupboard favourite I wouldn't be without, sweet pickled cucumbers.
I love them. They go well with salads and very well with fish. And that gives a bit of bite in the sauce. Put all that in.
Season, and for a final touch, add some chopped parsley.
I can actually eat this by the spoonful. I can eat it neat. It's delicious. And the crunch. And it's quite hot too. So just look at that. The fish is a bright, beautiful beetroot colour. Now, it's pretty messy.
Good thing my guests won't see it in this state, but I have a secret tip for serving it without turning your fingers bright purple.
What I do before I carve it is to take a little bit of cling film. You can see my hand is completely clean. It is really beautiful. You get this gorgeous, bright colour on the outside.
A finishing flourish of delicate pea shoots, shredded raw beetroot, and the horseradish sauce, if there's any left.
That That's just as I want it to be. In fact, I'm very chuffed with it. Salmon doesn't get better than this. Really, absolutely scrumptious.
For me, entertaining isn't just about decorating the plate. Tomorrow, as part of the annual Festival of Flowers at Leeds Castle, huge floral displays will be created in its main rooms. I've come to southeast London to meet the man who will be in charge of the banqueting hall, award-winning florist Simon Lycett.
Goodness, those hops!
They're fabulous, aren't they?
All ready to do something dramatic, I bet.
Look, everyone, we've got a visitor.
Hello, good morning. Oh, wonderful smells. It's so colourful. Absolutely amazing.
If I know Simon, it's not going to be a simple affair.
We are creating an amazing tablescape. These are all British seasonal flowers, and I thought you might like to have a go at creating your own arrangement with me.
I'll watch you and then I'll copy. Are there any sort of rules? I mean, say we're going to do this for the middle of a table.
When you're arranging flowers, I would say work one type of flower at a time and gradually build up. So establish your size and shape of your design as you start.
Now, that's a really good tip. So if we're using hydrangeas,
yes,
put those in first and then fill in the gaps.
Yeah. So woody stems, do you remember we used to told to hammer woody stems?
Oh, yes, roses, you used to have to hammer them.
Yes.
We don't do that.
No, that causes bacterial growth and that flowers will stay fresher longer if it's a clean cut on an angle and then split up the stem. And that will mean that when it's in the flower foam, it's able to take up maximum amounts of water.
Right. Are we aiming to have this so that whatever angle you look at it, it looks good?
Absolutely. If you're on a dining table, let's make it so it looks pretty in every direction.
Simon can use thousands of flowers for his extravagant pieces. It's a real eye-opener for an amateur flower arranger like me.
Usually when I'm doing it at home, I'm all alone, and here I can crib exactly what you're doing.
Any time I shall come and give you a hand, Mary. It'd be my pleasure. I might swap it for a pie.
Oh, well, I'm not bad at the pies.
You're looking rather beautiful.
I need a lot of encouragement. when you're up against the next, I'm watching you, and you're going far quicker than me. It's quite difficult to get those into the foam.
I think that's a good indicator of when you've nearly finished your arrangement, is when you're slightly struggling to find any more space to put your flowers in. So, Mary, my last addition is a kick of this fabulous sort of screaming hot pink, which, for me, just brings it all together.
They're nerine, aren't they?
Give you
and
a
they
real...
need no attention.
No, they're like florists and cooks. They thrive on neglect.
Oh, I don't. I like to be well looked after, and I am here. How's that?
Beautiful. Look, you see, I think as a non-matched pair, we've not done a bad job, have we?
I'm really rather proud of that.
I can't wait to show you the big one we're going to create at Leeds Castle.
Well, we've had a little practice, haven't we?
Exactly.
To me, flowers say romance, and there's nothing more romantic than pushing the boat out for a special dinner for two.
I well remember when I first met my husband and we were courting, he took me to a very famous fish restaurant and we had Dover sole, and it was such a treat. I'd never tasted fish like it, and I've remembered it to this day.
Once you've tasted heaven, you might as well stick with it.
I have a beautiful Dover sole here. The classic way to serve it is simply with butter, lemon and parsley, so that you really get the flavour of this beautiful firm fish.
Taking that tough skin off is tricky, so ask your fishmonger to do it for you.
You can leave the head on or off. I'm going to take it off. And you've got to sort of give it a bang over the bone there, and then just cut it off there.
Dover sole is simple to cook, but it needs to be done with care. So here's how to pan-fry it to perfection every time.
Butter the fish rather than putting butter in the pan. Why? Because if you put butter in the pan, before you know it, it will burn. So take softened butter and spread it particularly on the top there, because that's the first part that touches the pan and it will then melt over. And the flavour of butter is wonderful. That's it.
Sprinkle over a little salt and pepper and we're ready to go.
That feels very, very hot. Hold it quite firmly. A couple of minutes each side, I can start to spread the second side with butter. Don't forget the tettle because that would stick. Just needs a few more seconds and then I'll turn it over. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't that look beautiful? It hasn't burnt, it's that gorgeous golden nutty brown. Don't be tempted to overcook it because it's such a special fish. I'm really chuffed with that. It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Serve simply with a generous wedge of lemon and a classic parsley lemon butter gently melted in the lingering heat of the pan.
Look at that. Dover sole, the king of all the fish. I think that would be the start of a perfect evening. It, just for two of you, would be such a luxury.
Of course, entertaining isn't just about romantic suppers. Sometimes it's a big, jolly meal with lots of friends, but I still love to make every effort.
It really is the fresh flowers in the middle of the table that makes the setting, and it's the part that I really enjoy doing.
I have the perfect dish to make them feel special too.
I always have a few recipes up my sleeve that I can rustle up from store-cupboard ingredients. This one is just perfect, and the children love it. I've got 6 legs. That's the thigh and the drumstick all together. It makes a really substantial meal, just knocked together in no time. Here goes.
First for the sticky part.
Ketchup. Everybody's got tomato sauce in the cupboard. I'm going to judge it. So 6 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. Give or take, that's 6 tablespoons. 3 tablespoons of Worcester sauce. That gives it a little bit of oomph. Then a couple of tablespoonfuls of mustard. I like the grainy mustard, and it's pretty tasty so far.
Next, some runny honey.
2 tablespoons.
I've often got a jar that's solid at the bottom. Just warm it, and it will be runny again. Almost there. Just 2 tablespoons of tomato puree and a clove of garlic, and you're done.
Very sticky already.
Now all it needs is the chicken.
Just make 4 slits in total. That means all the flavour of the sticky topping gets right down inside, and it's wonderful. Right, it all goes in.
Like some of my best recipes, there are no hard and fast rules for this marinade.
I've been tweaking it over the years, adding a little bit more of this and that, but it's got to be sticky and sweet.
Once the chicken's well and truly coated, pop in the fridge and wait for that sticky marinade to work its wonders. When you and your chicken legs are ready to cook, hunt out your largest roasting tin.
I've put a bit of non-stick paper in the bottom there because it makes it easier to clean later. And spread them out in one layer. If you pile it up, they won't get crispy on top. Smells pretty good. That's it.
Into the oven at 200 degrees fan for about 35 to 40 minutes.
I think that looks amazing. This gorgeous deep colour. I'm just going to test whether it's absolutely done. Just go into the thickest part and make quite sure the juices there are as clear as a bell. If they've got a little bit of pink, pop it back in the oven for a bit longer. That's perfect. Right. We'll pile those in. I think they look really, really special. The charred finish and the smell, so spicy and good. My sticky honey chicken is great for entertaining children. It's not too expensive and it looks so good and tastes even better.
Once favoured by Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, I imagine Leeds Castle has been privy to an entertaining dinner or two.
Look at that, wow.
Beautiful.
But this morning in Kent, the spectacle is arriving in mist and floral form for the annual Festival of Flowers.
Let's go and see what's what.
It's not even 8 o'clock and Simon's ready to start, with me as his helper, of course.
There you are.
Thank you. Straight through here?
Yes, please.
OK.
Preparations are well underway for tomorrow's public opening. I've never seen anything quite like it.
So here we are.
It's enormous. Where are we?
Henry VIII's banqueting chamber, which in 2 hours we're going to transform. It's going to have tall arrangements, one long table, flowers everywhere, candles, everything we prepared.
Well, you've a blank canvas.
There are 22 florists taking part in the festival, and thousands of people are expected to visit over the next 6 days to enjoy all these magnificent displays. As befits a hall that once entertained Henry VIII, Simon and his team have designed a banquet table display. Seeing as how there's so much to do before the opening, I'd better make myself useful.
There we are.
Take that from you, thank you. As you can see, there's quite a lot of carrying.
And this is going to be a long dining table.
Yes, clothed in this gorgeous sort of champagne-coloured taffeta. And then these vast decorations that are there stood on the ground are going to go on the table all the way along.
So before you start, do you draw this all out?
No, it's in my brain.
That looks very firmly on top. You don't want it falling on somebody's head.
No.
Give them a bit of a shock.
There's a lot of weight, and everything we do has to be very stable. It's good physical work.
Have you done a similar thing with different flowers of different seasons?
Yes, we did a party in Kensington Palace where it was all greens, ferns and white orchids. And along the table it was bowls of lily of the valley and hellebores.
You need an awful lot of lily of the valley.
But we use an awful lot of everything. And I think that's what makes a spectacular setting is abundance, be it in food, candles, flowers and love.
You mean a bit over the top?
Of course, a lot over the top.
Spectacular tables need dishes that make a statement in themselves, and this one is just the ticket.
For me, the most important part of roasting a duck is to achieve a wonderful crisp skin, and I'm going to serve it with a wonderful cherry sauce that no one will be able to resist.
First, I'm going to rub the breast and the legs with a little mild olive oil and sprinkle over some sea salt.
So in goes the duck. That's it. Oh, it's a plump one, sitting on the rack here, so that all the fat goes down below.
Start it off in a very hot oven, 220 degrees fan, for about half an hour.
That's looking a good colour, but to get it extra crispy, you must keep basting it. Slide it just up there and just spoon that over, and that will crispen the skin. Then whack the oven down to 160 fan and leave it for 2.5 hours. The fat will drain down and it will become beautifully tender. So back it goes. It looks this wonderful golden brown.
But it still isn't quite crisp enough for me. Pour off the duck fat. I've got plans for that later. Then return the duck to the oven at 200 degrees fan for a final 20-minute blast.
but I promise you it's worth it to get that really crisp, crunchy skin. If you want it perfect, that's the way to do it.
Meanwhile, I can forge on with my delicious cherry sauce. To give it a wonderful depth of flavour, I'm lightly browning 3 finely chopped shallots in that glorious duck fat.
Just let it take a little bit of colour, then I'll add the other ingredients.
150 ml of red wine,
Good old sizzle there.
followed by 300 ml of chicken stock, and to give it a real rich boost, 150 ml of port.
To intensify the flavour, I'm going to let it bubble away until it's reduced.
I think it's time to take a peek at that duck.
Let's see if it's crispy. Listen. Doesn't get better than that, does it?
Leave the duck to rest under a loose tent of foil so the steam escapes and that skin will stay super crisp. Now to finish the sauce.
This is doing very nicely. It's reduced by 1/3. I'm going to add a splash of balsamic vinegar to that. And some red currant jelly. That all adds to the flavour. Oh, the smell is lovely.
Once it comes to the boil, strain out the shallots and add the thickening.
And that is 2½ level tablespoonfuls of corn flour with cold water. So this is very, very hot. If I put that corn flour mixture in there, it could go in a little bit lumpy. So if you take some of the hot liquid into the bowl, just like making old-fashioned custard with custard powder, and that will thicken up at once, says she, knowing that it will. There we are, look at that then. The consistency is perfect. Coats the back of a spoon and really smooth, not a lump in sight.
Last but not least, the cherries, fresh or frozen, and some salt and pepper.
There's not much wrong with that. In fact, it's scrumptious. Just right. We'll put it all together now and serve it and carve the beast.
This is such a sumptuous way to feed your guests. Well worth all the effort.
It's just falling off the bone. Little sauce over the top. And I'm not going to miss out on the cherry either. Can I get that all in one go? I tell you, I'm going to. Can you hear the crunch? It is absolutely divine. You'll love it.
The joy of entertaining is making people happy, and there's one classic pudding that stands out for me more than any other.
One of my great favourites that I come back to time and time again is my raspberry mousse.
It's so easy. Just whiz up 300 grams of fresh or frozen raspberries and push the pulp through a sieve.
There's a wonderful fresh smell of raspberries coming through, and great joy as it goes through very easily. Amazing how many pips there are, which you don't notice when you eat the whole fruit, but you certainly would do if they were all left in a mousse. That's it.
Don't miss out on any of those beautiful raspberries.
I want every little scrap to get in that bowl. Perfect. For a really light mousse, we need a lot of volume. So, first of all, the egg yolks, and I've added 75 grams of caster sugar. So at the moment, that's bright yellow, or orange almost, and it'll become much lighter and I can do it on full speed. So the egg yolks and sugar are beautifully light and fluffy, just what I wanted. Now in goes the raspberry puree. Isn't that a glorious colour? Almost unbelievable.
soften 4 leaves of gelatin before dissolving them to give the mousse that added setting power.
So in it goes, just stir that in. That's it.
Followed by some double pouring cream, just lightly whipped.
So under whip rather than over whip.
The final lightness will come from 4 egg whites beaten until stiff.
So fold that in until there are no flecks of white. Now into the glasses. I'm going to do it with a big spoon and aim to get it right in the middle and no drips down the side. Close your eyes and you could be in a field of raspberries on a beautiful summer's day. Having got to this stage, I must have a little taste. There's nothing quite like the flavour and taste of fresh raspberries. It's beautifully light and it's just the thing to end a rather rich meal.
Simon and his team have been working their socks off for hours. His dramatic floral display in Henry VIII's banqueting hall is almost ready for the festival's opening tomorrow.
This has been quite a journey, hasn't it? As you look around, you've blended all the colours together. I thought it was going to be OTT, but it really sets the whole table off, doesn't it? It's just magnificent.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to light the candles so I can see the full effect.
I'll do the little ones down here.
I love lighting candles at the end of the job.
You must leave just before the guests come.
Yes.
And do you just stand outside and listen to what they say?
It's quite nice hearing the oohs.
The oohs and the ahs.
The attention to detail here deserves all the appreciation it gets, even down to the plates.
Oh, this little posy's so sweet, isn't it? All sorts of little things.
Take that home, it's got some rosemary in, so it smells lovely, it fragrances the napkin, and then they can take it home.
Lovely. You're on the homeward stretch.
I think this might well be our last one. So, Mary, come and admire your handiwork.
Come on, our handiwork. It is absolutely breathtaking. The flowers really bring everything together. And you can imagine all the guests coming in here and being absolutely dumbfounded by it all. And I think King Henry VIII would have never have seen anything like it in his lifetime.
Do you think he'll like our modern interpretation of a medieval banquet?
I think he'd be very surprised, but I've got a sort of feeling he was more interested in the food and his women.
Next time,
Just look at that. Isn't that tempting?
recipes with a touch of inspiration from the great outdoors,
All in one go.
no matter what the weather.
I think we better get out of the restaurant.
Come on.
Let's go, let's go.
I've been cooking for quite a few years now. So many recipes have come and gone, but there are wonderful classics that are as popular as ever.
In this series, I'll show you how to cook some of the best of them in my very special way.
I'm just saving on the washing up.
From tempting dishes inspired by the great outdoors,
All in one go.
I think we better get out of the restaurant.
Come on.
Let's go, let's go.
to classic home comforts that'll put a smile on your face, and timeless ideas perfect for entertaining.
I can't wait to see my artichoke candles on your dining table.
These dishes can often seem daunting, but I'm going to show you some tips and techniques that make them quick, easy and simply delicious. And most importantly, with almost no fuss.
In this programme, gorgeous ideas for light and easy meals.
I'm going to be helping with your school dinner.
Yes!
Cooking doesn't have to be complicated, even when you're cooking from scratch. I have simple, light ideas that are easy to make and delicious to eat.
On the menu, a delicious crunchy salad made with a classic combination. My simple version of a steadfast family favourite. And a burst of citrus in the lightest of desserts. But first, two very different breakfast ideas that anyone could make. And I'm kicking off with a sweet one.
Don't you just love weekends at home, starting with a proper breakfast? We just love drop scones, sometimes called Scotch pancakes, sometimes griddle pancakes. I don't mind what they're called, they're all the same thing, but they're absolutely delicious and very simple to make.
First of all, 175 grams of self-raising flour.
In it goes. Doesn't need to be sieved. It's going to be well beaten.
Add 40 grams of sugar and a teaspoon of baking powder.
Now just make a well in the centre. Break an egg into the middle. I've got 200 ml of milk, about half in to begin with, and then you work it round to gather in the flour. This is the way I make it, it's the way grandmothers made it, it's the way batters have always been made. If you want a really smooth batter, you want to have this thick to start with and beat any lumps that there are likely to be there out before you add the rest of the milk.
To make these extra special, I'm adding a little orange zest into the batter.
It just makes it that little bit different. I'm going to give it an extra beat. Absolutely no lumps in that at all.
Now it's safe to add the last of the milk.
So that's ready.
To cook them couldn't be simpler. Add a little oil to a non-stick pan.
And then you drop the mixture in rounds. Spread it a little. And then do the next one.
These cook in a jiffy, so I do just 3 at a time.
And you wait until the bubbles, you can see them coming up here, and flick it over, like that, and then the last one. And then they will puff up. Look at them puffing up now. This is now ready. To keep them moist, you want to put a clean tea towel over the top while you do the next batch.
A 1/8 mixture should make about 24. It's so easy.
Off with the pan, turn the heat off, and ready to serve. Rich yoghurt right in the middle to trickle down. Then some blueberries to make it even more special. A few raspberries. Gilding the lily. Some maple syrup over the top. My drop scones, just perfect for a special Sunday morning breakfast. Who could resist it?
If it's savoury that tickles your fancy for a weekend breakfast, how about trying this? My wonderful light version of the classic kedgeree.
If you're not familiar with kedgeree, it's a rice dish with a hint of curry, and the essential ingredient is smoked haddock.
First things first, wrap up the fillet of smoked haddock in foil, along with a few knobs of butter.
You don't season it at this stage, just turn that up all the way around. So if there are any juices, they will stay inside.
Then pop the haddock into the oven at 180 fan for about 15 minutes.
While the fish is in the oven cooking, I'm going to get on with the rice.
Add 1 finely chopped onion into a tablespoon of oil.
Keep that moving and make sure that it's all coated with oil and just soften that down. And the best way to do that is to put the lid on. And that'll take about 5 minutes. There it is. It's taken a little bit of colour, not much.
Now we're ready for those classic kedgeree spices, starting with a tablespoon of curry powder.
That's it, going in.
Then a teaspoon of turmeric.
Now, turmeric doesn't have a very strong flavour, but it does add to that lovely sort of ochre colour. Mix that all in with the onion. Now I'm going to add basmati rice, 300 grams going in. Again, coat that with all the spices. It's taking on that glorious saffron colour.
And finally, pour over 500 ml of vegetable stock. Bring to the boil, put the lid back on and turn down the heat. While that simmers, I can check out the star of the dish.
So that should be ready, just as I wanted. Just break it with a fork. Fairly big pieces, that's absolutely perfect.
Now, if that rice is done, we're ready to roll.
The rice is absolutely perfect. There's a hint of a bite in the middle, but it's delicious.
Add 150 grams of sliced button mushrooms that have been sautéed in a little butter.
We're getting there. All I've got to do now is to add the fish and finish it off.
And don't forget the best bit, those delicious buttery fish juices. Look at that.
Every grain is separate and it's beautifully light. I suppose you could say that the cream is optional, but I think just a little added is good. What's that, a couple of tablespoons?
All that's missing now is a tad more seasoning and some sharp lemon.
Give it a quick stir, and then we're ready to put it in its final dish. It looks very, very tempting. Oh, it smells so good.
But no kedgeree would be complete without boiled eggs.
They will cook for about 5 minutes, and they're still runny. So just lift those onto there. If it trickles down the egg yolk into it, all the better. They're still warm. It can all be higgledy-piggledy. Then I've got some onion that I've fried until fairly crispy. It's a little extra, but I think it just makes all the difference.
Finish with a few vibrant coriander leaves.
And there you have it, my classic kedgeree on the lighter side.
I've come to Charlton Manor Primary School in London, where the children are encouraged to muck in and learn how to grow and cook their food from scratch. Year 5's Kahindi is taking me to the source of all this inspiration.
Welcome to our secret garden, Mary.
The school is a member of the Royal Horticultural Society's campaign for gardening, and this quarter-acre plot not only teaches the children, but feeds them as well.
What do you grow here?
We grow vegetables and that supply the kitchen and the shop that we have on Saturdays. We sell the honey that we make and the produce that we make from the garden.
What's the favourite part of the garden for you?
I really like feeding the chickens.
Chickens?
Ruling the chicken roost is Year 6 pupil Irvin, and it appears he's got his hands full.
So you're guarding the chickens. Have they got names?
Yeah, they do. This one is me because it has an afro, and you can see this right here, and it's handsome. Then this one right here is Donald Trump.
Now, come on, why Donald Trump?
Because every time when I'm feeding them, he makes a wall. so the other chickens can't come.
And it's quite in charge over here, is it?
But it's been taken over by Obama. Obama's there.
Ah.
The colourful feathers and long neck.
I like Irvin's name choice. With 18 chickens in the West Wing, the canteen has a daily supply of eggs, but I'm much more interested in what's growing around it.
Today, I'm going to be helping with your school dinner.
Yes!
Can you tell me what these are? What's that?
Purple kale.
Well done. And do you know what this is too?
Rainbow chard.
And then I'm going to shred it up and stir fry. Do you like stir fry?
Yes.
So let's start off with having some kale. Curly kale. It's a lovely colour, isn't it? That's
It goes
perfect.
everywhere.
And what about the chard?
I'm going to get
A
some.
couple from each of you.
I'm going to get white one.
That'll be absolutely delicious. Nice to get a bit of crunch. The stalk is good. Now, how about an onion? Can you get me an onion?
A big one.
The biggest there, that's a good idea. Oh, that's beautiful. We'll clean it off later.
All this veg will make a vibrant dish for the children's lunch later. Before I get cooking with them, I'm going to rustle up a salad that couldn't be any lighter.
When I'm thinking of something light and easy, I automatically think of a salad. And what could be better than bacon, avocado and chicken? I'm using a cooked chicken for this, just for ease, and there's no mayonnaise in sight.
I'm kicking off with the dressing. It's flavoured with one of my favourite herbs, tarragon.
It's aniseedy. Just pull all the leaves off and chop them up. So I suppose that's about a tablespoon.
Now for the rest of the dressing, starting with 300 ml of yoghurt.
That is full-fat Greek-style yoghurt. It's rich and it's wonderful for a dressing.
Next, 1 tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 2 teaspoons of white wine vinegar,
That just sharpens it up.
more lift from the juice of half a lemon, and a finely chopped spring onion.
Now we need some sugar, pepper and salt, and the tarragon. There. I love that smell.
Creamy tarragon dressing makes a perfect partner for the chicken.
I quite like having little cubes of it. You do just as you like. In there. Now I'm going to mix this all together. I want the flavour of the tarragon and mustard to get in with the chicken. I think I should really taste this. I could eat it right now. It's delicious, but it'll be even better when I've left it for a bit.
To allow all those lovely flavours time to really hit it off, cover and chill for 4 hours, or preferably overnight. Now for the rest of the salad, starting with 2 avocados,
I take a spoon and I put it in the palm of my hand and wriggle the spoon round at each end and then put the cut side to the board. And it's as clean as a whistle.
cut into neat slices and cover with a little lemon juice to keep the avocado from turning brown. I can't wait to bring the chicken, bacon and avocado all together on one glorious plate, lined with some crispy lettuce.
They make nice little cups. 1 isn't quite enough for a person, but 2 is just about right.
Then a couple of sprigs of peppery rocket.
Takes a bit of balancing, but I'm going to get that. The chicken goes on next. And just edging it together, sort of almost like a butterfly.
Those soft, rich slices of avocado, topped with some salty snippets of streaky smoked bacon.
And then for a final flourish, some toasted pumpkin seeds. That's it. Everybody's favourite, chicken, avocado and bacon. If that's not light, easy and delicious, I don't know what is.
Back in South London, it's almost lunchtime. Here at Charlton Manor, they have a dedicated teaching kitchen and chef. Today, the children are making crunchy cheese twirls. It's an inspiration. I've spent my life teaching others to cook, and I couldn't think of a better place to do it. Kahindi and her friend Elizabeth are going to help me make a vegetable stir-fry with our fresh haul from their secret garden.
We've already picked those vegetables over here. So, Elizabeth, that's a courgette. If you can cut the end off and then cut discs of it, rounds of it. And what would you like to cut?
Can I cut the butternut squash?
Yes, this is butternut squash. Do you like butternut squash?
Yes.
Oh, that's a bad sign. It's gone in the sink. So we're going to cut those into little strips. So one thin slice. That's right. It's firm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very. And then take that slice and cut it into slices across there. Those are beautiful. It's quite skilled to cut it so nice and thinly.
These children have been cooking for years, and their confidence is a joy to see.
So you've got a nice pile there. Can you put them on top of there? That's a good job done.
Mary,
Yeah.
you look really nice in pink.
I like pink. Well, you look good in yellow.
I'm going to go put this in the cooker.
They even save the peelings for the garden's compost.
We picked some beautiful kale.
Chard.
You're on the ball this morning. I think I got up too early.
With two extremely able assistants by my side, we've fired up the wok and are ready to start cooking.
Right, that's really, really hot. Can I have the bowl over here? Now, I'm going to just put the first things in, which is just a little bit of onion, because the onion will take a little bit longer. So in it goes there, and a little bit of the butternut squash. That takes a bit longer. Do you want to have a bit of a stir? That's it. There we are. Now, I'll just give it a quick whiz. That's good, it's hot. We need to get the rest in. So if you can just push some peppers down. And Elizabeth, can you put some courgettes down there?
That's a very familiar smell and insanely smoky.
Yeah.
Now, can you give me a bit of kale to go in there? Right in the middle. And chard now. In it goes. You've done this before, haven't you? Do you want to have a stir? I'll keep it steady. Every vegetable keeps its colour.
Yeah.
And it's a very healthy way of cooking vegetables because you've just got a little bit of oil and they'll taste delicious. Tiny little bit of salt.
Can I add pepper that way?
You like pepper, do you?
Yes.
And you like spicy food?
Yes.
Yeah, and you're not trusted with salt.
Yeah, I can't be trusted.
Why
with salt.
aren't you trusted with salt?
I was making eggs once and I poured salt all over the eggs and it was really salty, but I still ate it.
Did you?
Which is very awful for your health.
Did anybody else eat it?
No, just me.
I think that's just about ready.
This is a very easy recipe and you can make it at home.
You can make it at home, but will you go easy on the salt, please?
Yes.
Right, can you just stand back? Give it a shake. Oh, it's beautifully colourful. I reckon nobody's looking. You can have a little taste of the particular vegetable that you like.
It's
That's your
white.
chard. Now, I want the truth. What did you think of it?
It tastes good. Very delicious.
Thank you, girls. You've been absolutely brilliant. Take this over to the restaurant, and while you've gone, I'll finish cooking all of these.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Bye, Elizabeth.
Sometimes it's hard to get children to eat what you cook, especially if they're fussy. Making one of their favourites from scratch will be a big step in the right direction.
There's nothing nicer than a homemade beef burger. You know exactly what goes into it, and it just melts in the mouth when you eat it. I've got first quality minced beef here, so 500 grams into the bowl.
Breadcrumbs are essential in a burger, but add too many and they'll be stodgy.
I've just got 50 grams here. A medium onion that I've chopped really, really finely. If you're not good at chopping onion, you could always grate it.
That's the basics. Now for some delicious extras, starting with 3 tablespoons of chopped fresh parsley, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard,
Now that really does bring out the flavour.
and more punch from a tablespoon of rich sun-dried tomato paste and some chopped marjoram.
This bright green adds to the colour of my beef burger. To bind it all together, I'm going to have an egg yolk. There it is, going in.
Lastly, some salt and pepper, then just dive in.
I really like getting my hands in here. You know, you can feel when it gets together. And you know, if you've got a young family and they really love beef burgers, let them make their own. They'll love it, especially if they're allowed to get their hands in. So work that into a shape and divide it into 6. It's a good tip to wet your hands before you shake them because it makes it that much easier. But gosh, it's not too difficult, is it? I mean, what I do is roll it into a ball and then flatten it out. And if some are a little bit bigger than others, people have different sized appetites. That's what I say when I make a mistake, because that one is a little bit bigger, isn't it?
Now it's time to heat up my griddle pan and cook those beef burgers.
Rather than putting the oil in the pan, I'm going to actually put the oil on the beef burgers.
This way, the burgers won't stick and the oil won't burn.
So lift each one with a fish slice into the pan and over. They're going to take 2 minutes each side when they're that thickness. A little bit longer if you want them really well done. But the big mistake with beef burgers is to overcook them.
Don't forget to oil the other side before you flip them over.
They've had their time, so just turn those out. Oh, they look good, don't they?
And I've got plans for those gorgeous juices left in the pan.
All the flavour from the beef burgers is there. That will go onto my bap. It'll be delicious. Just slide them along. Make sure all that gubbins is coming with the extra special brioche baps. It's browning nicely.
It should take about a minute for your buns to take on the stripes of the griddle pan.
And now it's an assembly job.
It's all about the layers. First mayo, some lovely crisp lettuce, a juicy slice of tomato.
We're getting there. Gosh, it's quite a mountain, isn't it?
Last on is a slice of sweet pickled cucumber, and top the whole lot off with a jaunty bun.
Listen, they're crispy too. They look so tempting. So there are my beef burgers in all their glory, a real family classic.
Back at school, the first lunch sitting is well underway. My stir-fry is sitting alongside some of the freshest fare I've ever seen in a canteen. And it's all conjured up from scratch by passionate head chef Flavio Hernandez.
So what do you think of my...
It looked beautiful. What do you put in there? You put the cabbage?
all the vegetables from the garden, and we've got a bit of pepper. It's very healthy, and it's very important here to do healthy food, isn't it?
And more fresh it is. So you can see the pad thai, the same of the tar, and the same of the selections of vegetables over there.
And they're all beautifully bright and colourful.
Yes. Okay, we ready?
Yes.
Here they come.
Hello.
Woo!
Can I have
Good.
some soup, please?
Does anybody else want to go for the chicken and rice?
Mary, can I please have some of your stir fry?
Absolutely. Sure. Have you had stir fry before?
No, I haven't, so this is my first time.
Ah, well, these are all vegetables from your own garden here. And what are you going to choose to have with it?
Can I please have some pasta?
Noodles.
Noodles, yes, there we are.
From growing their own and cooking in the teaching kitchen to this wonderful choice at lunch, these children have been immersed in fresh food from year dot, and it's truly fantastic to see the results.
I'm eating Mary Berry's stir fry, and it's very healthy and it was tasty. It's even better than the one I have at home.
Well, that stir fry seems to have gone down well, Chef. What do you think?
It's the best seller today.
I'm leaving Charlton Manor School with a spring in my step.
Bye, Mary.
After that gorgeous lunch, what could be better than the lightest of puddings?
The great thing about syllabub is that you've only got 4 ingredients. The essential, a sweet white wine, sugar, lemon and cream. Couldn't be easier. I'm going to make the lemon syrup first. So into the pan goes the juice of 1 lemon, then the zest, all those little pieces, then 75 grams of caster sugar, and I've got a sweet wine here, and I'm going to have 100 ml. I love that glug. Such a nice sound at 6 o'clock. But this is all going in my syllabub. In it goes.
Put the pan on the hob and heat it gently to dissolve the sugar.
Couldn't be easier, this. And when you're short of time and you want a special pud, this is the one to choose. Now, all the granules at the bottom of the pan have gone, and it's a thin syrup. Then I'm going to bring that to a simmer for a few moments so that all the lemony flavour goes into the syrup. I'll turn the heat off here. I can tell you that smells pretty good already. Let that get stone cold and we'll finish the syllabub.
Once you've strained the cold lemon syrup, you're ready to add the final ingredient, 300 ml of pouring double cream.
All I've got to do is combine the two together and we've got a syllabub. That's it. And did you see the moment I touched it, it became thick? It's almost like magic, isn't it?
This simple but miraculous pud deserves nothing less than my favourite champagne glasses. After a couple of hours in the fridge and a final flourish of lemon zest, my syllabubs are ready.
Essential to serve them cold, and I think a rose would look really lovely there. So there it is, my lemon syllabub. It's certainly boozy, but it's deliciously light.
Next, I'll be travelling back in time to celebrate the best of this green and pleasant land.
I've been cooking for quite a few years now. So many recipes have come and gone, but there are wonderful classics that are as popular as ever.
In this series, I'll show you how to cook some of the best of them in my very special way.
I'm just saving on the washing up.
From classic home comforts that will put a smile on your face,
Absolutely delicious.
to some favourites from the past that are making a great comeback.
Whoa!
And delicious light ideas that take no time at all.
Welcome to our secret garden, Mary.
I'm going to be helping with your school dinner.
Yes!
These dishes can often seem daunting, but I'm going to show you some tips and techniques that make them quick, easy and simply delicious. And most importantly, with almost no fuss.
In this programme, I'm travelling back in time to explore our foodie past.
I enjoyed that.
And celebrate the best of this green and pleasant land. Britain is blessed with a wonderful array of fresh produce, and it's nice to know exactly where our food comes from. Growing your own, whether it's in a garden or a herb box, makes cooking all the more fun. So in this programme, I'll be celebrating some of our finest produce. A classic way to bring out the best in our glorious veg. The perfect idea for one of our most loved ingredients. My mouth-watering way to serve a spring favourite. And a tempting autumnal tart that's a fruity little crowd pleaser. But first, a delicious classic idea for all those delicate herbs.
This dish is my take on the French pistou sauce, and I'm going to serve it with pasta, and it is delicious and easy.
Start by cooking the linguine in salted boiling water.
While that's boiling, I'm going to get on with the glorious pistou sauce. So what is pistou? It's a French version of pesto without the Parmesan cheese and without the pine nuts. I've got some chives here, very easy to grow at home. Just keep nibbling at it and it'll go on all summer.
Roughly chop the chives and they'll be our base.
Then I want a nice little bunch of parsley. I really love fresh herbs. They give most dishes a lift. Then I'm going to have some basil. I've got a lovely plant here. Now, this is the sort of plant you'd have on your windowsill. Now, if you just look there, there's a big spray at the top here. So I'm taking it down there. Now, just have a look, and you'll see 2 more little shoots coming. If you water it and feed it, they will come back like that. So in goes the basil.
Pistou is herbs, oil and garlic. But instead of oil, I'm adding creme fraiche. And some sharp lemon to give it a lift.
That's it, that's done. Look at that amazing green colour. Absolutely crammed jam full of herbs.
The last step is to fry off 500 grams of chestnut mushrooms in some sizzling butter.
I like them the best of the mushrooms because they hold their flavour and shape.
Sauté them until they're a gorgeous golden brown and those juices have evaporated.
Then I'm going to add our wonderful pistou sauce. In it goes like that.
Throw in the cooked pasta and for that velvety touch, some grated parmesan.
And you can imagine those flavours go really well together. A wonderful, glorious, fresh taste. And a little Parmesan cheese over the top. So there it is, pistou pasta, my take on the French classic.
When it comes to leafy veg, watercress has been a firm favourite for centuries. Here in the Hampshire meadows, it still grows rampantly. Mineral-rich spring waters are filtered through chalky beds to create the perfect environment. Cultivated on farms since the 1850s, it was once a hugely labour-intensive process involving every member of the village. Obviously, they use machinery now, but Penny Ede, who's been farming these fields for 35 years, hasn't always had this luxury.
How much watercress can that machine cut in an hour?
Between 1.5 to 2 tonne an hour. It's quite incredible comparing to how we used to do it by hand.
Come on, if you had to do it by hand, to get that amount, how long would it take one person?
Well, it would take days.
Days, so it's changed the industry.
Very much so, yes.
I'm so excited to see how it was once done.
Well, if I stop about here and we'll place the basket down, what we used to do is take a very sharp knife and we used to gather it within our hands.
You're getting a lot in there.
You certainly go quite away from your hand and you cut.
And you haven't lost a finger in
And
the...
certainly haven't. You've kept it well away from you.
So I'm to have a go, right. Gathering it up into one hand.
Make sure your knife's low down, away from your fingers.
I had no intention of cutting my fingers, I might say.
Away
And
from
then
your
slash it.
And that's it.
It's about half the size of your bunch.
Well,
I've also got some root on there, so I'll gently go back. That's not too bad, is it?
That's fine, that's lovely.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? Do you know, Penny, I was brought up on a farm. We, believe it or not, had watercress breads. And my favourite thing was watercress sandwiches with raspberry jam.
Wow.
Have you ever tried sweetened? Anyway, we've done quite a lot.
We have, yeah.
Put the knife in there.
OK.
Off we go.
It couldn't be fresher than picked straight from the field. And what better way to use it than in this classic, with my own special twist, of course.
Usually you make watercress soup with potato, but celeriac, I think, is far nicer. You get that hint of celery, and it really is scrumptious.
Slowly soften 2 chopped onions in butter. Make sure they're on a low heat. Then cube the celeriac.
You only need to do this roughly. The one thing that hits you at this stage is that it's a strong smell of celery, which I love.
Add the celeriac to those delicious onions and pour over some of your favourite stock.
Give that a stir and gently simmer until all that is absolutely tender.
Now for the star ingredient.
I've got 200 grams of watercress. Looks an awful lot, but I want it to be bright green and full of flavour. And all I've got to do is to let this wilt down, just like you would spinach. Make sure all that hot stock comes over. Not too long, otherwise it'll lose its colour.
Next we need to puree it. Always a bit tricky with hot soup.
Make sure that it's absolutely upright. Do it like that and it'll go all over my worktop, and it's me that clears it up, so.
Blend it till that vibrant green comes out and it's beautifully smooth.
That looks just about right to me.
4 tablespoons of creme fraiche and some salt and pepper will give it that wonderful rich finish.
It's such a brilliant colour, so tempting.
And what better way to serve it than with some hot English muffins? Delicious. Watercress is definitely one of my favourites, but there's another green vegetable that we couldn't do without: asparagus. And it makes the perfect companion to fresh salmon.
Let me show you a simple, timeless way of cooking salmon.
My special trick is to butter and then season a large piece of foil.
Then some dill. I absolutely love dill. This is going to give real flavour to the fish. And I'm going to put that down, flesh side down, across the top like that.
It couldn't be simpler. Just pour over the juice of a lemon.
Then a splash of white wine.
If you wrap it all into a tight parcel, those juices will start to work their magic. Take care not to overcook it, so pop it in the oven, 160 fan, for around 25 minutes.
There it is. That looks beautiful.
The skin won't be hard to remove if the salmon is still warm.
Just pull that off, right across like that.
Now it's time for my delicious asparagus topping. To keep that striking green colour and crunch, I've cooked them for just 2 or 3 minutes. I just love asparagus. Nothing goes better with salmon.
Then radish cut thinly. I think that looks just about enough.
Scatter over some shrimps to give it a bit more punch. And then some herbs.
That's a micro herb, and it is a lovely colour because it goes well with radishes. So the grand finale.
Drizzle over a simple mustard, lemon and dill vinaigrette.
It just makes it more lively and absolutely beautiful. Well, I'm really proud of that. It's something really special for that occasion when you've got a crowd and you want to push the boat out.
Today, we take it for granted that we can buy vegetables whenever we want, from anywhere in the world. This wasn't always the case. Here in Hampshire, the aptly named Watercress line is a fine example of how we once transported our food. Today, it's run by passionate volunteers.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning, thank you.
Like Chris Yates, who's agreed to let me join his engine crew. And I can't wait.
Hello there.
Hello, Mary. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Watercress line.
And so what part do you play here?
Well, today I'm the fireman, so I'll be stoking the fire, make sure we've got enough steam so we can go up the line.
Right.
We've got Greg there in the corner who's going to do the driving for us today.
And how old is this?
This particular engine, built in 1937, and it's still going strong with a lot of love, care and attention. Mary, would you like to come and join us?
I'd love to.
You'll have to wear these pair of overalls.
I want to look the part.
Absolutely
I won't
right.
be a minute.
We'll see you in a moment.
While I get ready, Chris and Greg keep stoking that fire. It will need to be a sweltering 400 degrees before we can get going.
Come aboard.
Are we ready? Whee! Wow.
Welcome
Hello.
aboard.
Gosh, it's quite cosy in here.
It is cosy and warm.
Wow. That's hot, isn't it?
That's very hot. No soggy bottoms on here, Mary.
I watch it.
Yeah, clear to go.
And we're clear to go.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it?
This line was built in 1865, and one of its main purposes was to transport vast quantities of watercress directly to London's Covent Garden market.
It's beginning to chop, 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 chop. I love it.
But my goodness, this train is nearly 300 tons and demands to be constantly fed. Quite a job for the men who would have once spent their lives on it.
Wow. Oh. It's pretty heavy. Right. How many of these are we going to use?
5.
I think I'll hand it over to you. Right.
Getting the watercress to London opened up the market for so many farmers. It became very popular and was soon known as poor man's bread, because Victorian workers could buy bunches for breakfast as they made their way to work.
I enjoyed that.
You're in your hair, dude.
How about that then?
At its peak, there were thousands of steam trains running across the country. Of course, we transport our food in other ways today, but some of the old lines, like this one, have been lovingly restored.
Hello there. I've had a great time. Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
All right, Mary.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you, Mary. Bye.
It wasn't only watercress that found its way into more kitchens. All sorts of food slowly became accessible to city dwellers, and meat was one of them. Lamb has long been a staple of the countryside, and it continues to be the go-to Sunday lunch. I have the ideal classic way to cook it that is mouth-wateringly simple.
There's nothing more classic early in the season than lamb, and I've got a beautiful fillet of lamb, sometimes called cannon.
The secret here is to start by seasoning, then sealing the lamb in a hot pan.
Turn that over. Look, isn't that a gorgeous colour? So I'm going to add some rosemary. I'm going to put some underneath and some on top, and that'll really permeate the lamb. And now it wants to go into a really hot oven, 200 pan, for 8 minutes.
Of course, lamb is nothing without a delicious mint dressing.
Mint has happy memories for me because when I was about 14, I was horse mad or pony mad, and I used to go to gymkhanas. Mum would say, "What do you want for supper when you come home?" And I used to say new potatoes and peas, but the main thing was to have mint sauce on top, and now I've sort of upgraded it and it's a mint dressing.
The base of this dressing is a classic mustard vinaigrette.
And I've got a nice fat clove of garlic there going in. That's it.
And my personal touch is fragrant fresh mint and chopped spring onion.
Now that looks interesting, really fun and spring-like.
Look at that lamb. Perfect.
God, there's a very strong smell of rosemary here, which is lovely.
To make sure it's tender, rest the cannons for at least 5 minutes. While you're waiting, warm that delicious mint dressing with some seasonal green veg.
So, I've got everything ready. All I've got to do is serve. Just the right amount of pinkness. Isn't that sheer perfection? I'm rather chuffed with that.
That fragrant minty dressing brings it all together perfectly.
I cannot think of a better combination than spring vegetables, all bright green, and perfectly cooked lamb. For me, nothing could be better.
I've always enjoyed growing vegetables, and there's nothing better than spending time pottering in the garden.
That's a pretty good head of garlic. Enormous, no wonder it's called elephant garlic. Here, I've got masses of parsley. I think that's enough. The main thing is we grow what we eat and what we enjoy. I have a son that thinks kale is the best thing since sliced bread. There's a sort of carrot you don't see in the shops. This one's got 2 legs.
With all this wonderful produce to choose from, there really is only one thing to do with them: a delicious classic roast.
One of my most favourite things are roasted vegetables, hot or cold, sometimes on toasted sourdough bread. I can think of nothing better.
Use whatever veg you have to hand.
Peppers give colour. I nearly always choose the red ones. Not only do you get colour, but you get flavour. Just bang them out.
I love roasted courgettes.
Good-sized chunks, because then you get a bit of texture left in them.
And what about some thinly sliced aubergine?
And one of my favourites, butternut squash. So if you just take rings like that, you can get the peel off much more easily. And then you just need to cut that into chunks. There we are. In it goes.
Nothing will bring out their flavours more than some salt and pepper and a drizzle of olive oil.
So in I go, and just work and massage it in.
Look at those beautiful colours. 30 minutes in a 200 degrees fan oven will soften them while keeping them golden brown outside. Heaven.
While the veggies are roasting, I'll get on with the dressing. In the bowl, I'm going to put a teaspoonful of mustard. I love the grainy mustard. In it goes.
Add in a crushed clove of garlic and 4 tablespoons of olive oil.
Then a couple of tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. This gives it a lovely colour and a very distinctive flavour.
A good teaspoon of sugar, and finish it off with a finely chopped banana shallot for a bit of crunch. Those veggies are looking good. It's time to get them plated up.
They're so beautifully colourful. Lovely combination. And that'll add lots of flavour, a little bit of sharpness from the balsamic dressing.
To really kick off this recipe, I have one last touch: rich feta cheese.
And the contrast of the white and all this colours, I think it goes really well.
Finish off with some wonderfully fragrant chopped mint and basil.
Do you know something? This is a perfect meal without meat. You don't need it. It's absolutely delicious. Sitting with a glass of wine outside on a summer's evening, it would be one of my most favourite things.
Of course, it's not only about the vegetables. The country also has wonderful hedgerows and orchards laden with fruit. I have the ultimate classic to celebrate them. I'm going to make it in my own special way.
Tarte tatin has that wonderful layer of caramel on the top, and I'm going to show you how to do it.
The secret to a textbook caramel is to use a stainless steel pan. This will stop the sugar from crystallising whilst it dissolves in a little water.
You never need be frightened of making caramel if you do it this way.
Once all the granules have dissolved, turn up the heat to a steady boil.
Now you can hear that bubbling away. It will become quiet and rather thicker, and then you need to look down in the pan and see it's a pale golden colour. That is perfect.
That smooth caramel now needs to be set in an unbuttered, fixed base cake tin.
Let it cover the bottom of the tin. So, onto the puree. I've got a Bramley apple here, a really large one, and I'm going to core it. That took a bit of effort, didn't it? It's nice to use a Bramley apple because it goes down to a mush, and we want a puree.
I always add a bit of sugar, as Bramley apples can be a little bit tart.
And then pop the lid on and it'll create steam. Keep an eye on it and stir it until it's absolutely down to a mush.
Back to the tart. Make sure you now butter the cake tin so nothing sticks. And then slice some sweet English dessert apples for your next layer.
tartare is something really, really special, and I would serve it if I'd got friends round for Sunday lunch or as a nice pudding on a special occasion. So there's our pattern finished, and then the rest goes on higgledy-piggledy on top like that. Now, the puree looks good, and I'm going to mash it. This is the perfect consistency.
This apple puree is my little twist on the French classic to make it extra special. Finally, the puff pastry. To keep things simple, a pre-rolled sheet cut to just a little bigger than the tin will be perfect.
I'm making it bigger because I want to tuck the edge in.
To get a wonderfully crisp top, a little cross in the centre will release all of the steam. Just 40 minutes in a 200 fan oven will bake it until it's golden brown.
Well, I'm quite chuffed with that.
Now for the moment of truth.
1, 2, 3, 4. How about that? It's got such a gorgeous shine on it. And we've got masses of apple and a nice crispy pastry underneath.
All we need now is a good fat slice and a dollop of creme fraiche.
That is sheer heaven.
Next time,
Really, absolutely scrumptious.
ideas for timeless entertaining.
It is absolutely breathtaking. I've been cooking for quite a few years now. So many recipes have come and gone, but there are wonderful classics that are as popular as ever.
In this series, I'll show you how to cook some of the best of them in my very special way.
I'm just saving on the washing up.
From timeless ideas, perfect for entertaining,
I can't wait to see my artichoke candles on your dining table.
to delicious light recipes that take no time at all.
Welcome to our secret garden, Mary.
I'm going to be helping with your school dinner.
Yes!
And tempting dishes inspired by our green and pleasant land.
I enjoyed that. These dishes can often seem daunting, but I'm going to show you some tips and techniques that make them quick, easy, and simply delicious. And most importantly, with almost no fuss.
In this programme,
Oh, you've done that before.
classic home comforts that will put a smile on your face.
Absolutely delicious.
One more?
Well, of course I will, yes. I love it when the evenings draw in and there's a hint of wood smoke in the air. That's the time for comfort food.
I want to show you some of the hearty and comforting recipes that I always turn to. A traditional way to cook lamb to perfection. A time-honoured idea for delicious wild mushrooms. A wickedly divine pudding made with the ultimate comfort food. But first, my version of a classic breakfast dish that's a dream to wake up to.
This is a combination of two great classics. One has bacon in and one has spinach. Why have one when you can have both together?
Start with some delicious dry-cured bacon You don't need oil, but make sure the pan is nice and hot.
There's nothing like the smell of bacon to wake up to. You could never say no. And this is thin-cut bacon. Whether you choose smoked or unsmoked bacon is really up to you. Now I'm going to have a peek at this, and it's taking on a lovely colour.
Once the bacon is beautifully crisp, put it to the side so you can get on with the sauce.
Many people say that hollandaise is difficult. Do it my way and it's not. Right, first of all, 2 egg yolks in the bowl. These are lovely fresh eggs.
Add a dash of white wine vinegar.
Whisk that together. That's it. Then put that bowl over hot water, and as soon as it's sort of lukewarm, you add butter. And that goes in very, very slowly. And the idea is to cook the egg yolks very slowly, or you'll end up with scrambled egg. Don't rush it. You can see that it's actually thickening up. Little salt and pepper in there. That's absolutely perfect. Look at it, just the right consistency. I'm quite pleased with that. Finally, the eggs. So the secret for a poached egg: boiling water with a dash of vinegar in it, swirl it round with a whisk, and in the very centre, drop it in the middle while it's still swirling, and it'll be in lovely shape.
Let them simmer for 3 or 4 minutes until the white is just set.
There we are. They look perfect. Now's the time to plate it all up.
For the Florentine layer, I've wilted some fresh spinach in the butter, so there's no need for more on your toasted muffins.
I think that is the perfect breakfast, just to die for.
There's one man I know who's a devotee of comforting and Moorish food. In fact, Swedish chef Nicholas Ekstedt is more at home cooking over an open fire than he is with a fancy stove.
In your restaurant, you have no electricity, no gas for cooking?
No, I just use wood.
Open flame cooking is a very traditional Swedish technique. And Nicholas's wonderful food has earned him a Michelin star.
Is it a barbecue, that? What is it?
No, it's not a barbecue. I mean, barbecue is completely different from Swedish cooking. Swedish open fire cooking is all about heat, flames, and smoke. So it's hot and fast, not slow and low. So,
but how do you not catch the food on fire?
I'll show you. That's why we're here, right? We're gonna cook. So I thought that I'm gonna chop some wood and you're gonna build the fire.
Oh,
is that okay?
I'm pretty good. I was a girl guide, you see. I know how to do it. Oh, you've done that before. There's nothing I like more than building a fire and cooking outside.
That looks great.
It's just like a little bonfire for bonfire night. Well, it smells good too, doesn't it? It reminds me of Girl Guide Camp. We used to cook over fires.
What did you cook?
Stews and fry eggs and bacon. And we used to dig trenches for our loos.
Were there any songs?
Oh, yes. Gingang, gully, 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 watcha, gingang, goo, gingang, gully, gully, watcha, gingang, goo, gingang, goo.
Is that English?
I have no idea what it was, but it's stuck back in my head. Every girl guide will remember that and
It sounds like Swedish.
I won't teach it to you.
It's like the Swedish chef on Muppet Show.
Thank you for that.
Okay, so now we are going to start off with the celeriac. So
I love celeriac. It's one of my favourite vegetables.
we're going to cook it over the flames. straight into the fire.
What, the whole complete?
Yeah, and we want it black. There you go. Woo. Fire and vegetable, caveman cooking.
I quite like cooking with a caveman.
Although caveman cooking is not always fast, these celeriac will take a good couple of hours before they're ready.
But we can relax now for a little while.
Well, we've got 2 hours.
Yeah, we can talk about the Girls' Guides.
Whilst we wait, I've turned to the woods for my next dish, using an ingredient at the heart of many comforting classics. This is definitely one of my favourites.
There's nothing nicer than a crisp pastry case and a gorgeous sauce full of all different kinds of mushrooms that have that hint of garlic and a sharpness of lemon.
Life is too short to make your own puff pastry, so I'm using 500 grams of shop board.
If you look very carefully here, you can see the air bubbles. Now, the air bubbles in the pastry mean that when it's cooking, those will expand and make the pastry rise up beautifully, and it's going to be lovely and crispy. So I'm not rolling the air bubbles out, I'm trying to keep them in.
Lightly score the pastry in a crisscross pattern.
This is purely for decoration, and it just makes it look a little bit professional. It doesn't take a second to do. That's it. Sticking.
Cut into 6 discs and leave them to chill in the fridge.
I've got total weight of mushrooms 750 grams, and 250 grams are these beautiful wild mushrooms. It doesn't really matter what kind.
What I adore about this recipe is its simplicity. Everything's done in the oven.
And that is sizzling hot.
Put your chestnut and field mushrooms in first.
A drizzle of oil over the top.
Some crushed garlic. Season and pop them back in the oven. Now glaze the chilled pastry discs with a beaten egg.
I really like hardware shops, and very often I will go and buy a paintbrush rather than a posh brush like this, because they're a little bit cheaper.
Both the mushrooms and the pastry need about 18 to 20 minutes at 180 fan.
Those have risen beautifully, and look at the professional look with that scoring on top. Makes all the difference.
To make it especially crisp, cut each pastry in half. Then mix the last of those mushrooms with some delicious creme fraiche.
So back in the oven at 180 for about 8 to 10 minutes for both of them. That looks good, doesn't it?
For a final cheeky flourish, add a generous sprinkling of Parmesan cheese and a squeeze of lemon.
Right, now to assemble it. And let it fall over generously. A little bit of bright green always gives it a lift. Then on goes the lid. Wild mushroom galette, and doesn't it look tempting? Good enough to eat right now.
I think the celeriac is almost done.
Well, I think it looks burnt to a frazzle. Come on.
It's burnt, but not inside, hopefully.
Despite Nicholas's cheery confidence, I'm not so sure. And while that celeriac cools, he's keen to show me another favourite, his unique take on comforting Swedish meatballs.
This is a game version, so I use venison and pork. And you always add breadcrumbs and onions. And the onions you fry a little bit before. And then we usually soak the breadcrumbs with a little bit of cream before you add it.
That's certainly enriching them.
Yeah, it does. And then some salt.
No pepper?
No pepper, no. No.
Interesting. Is that not popular in Sweden?
It is kind of popular, but I don't like pepper.
OK, well, that's fair enough. They're your meatballs after all.
And then these are juniper berries.
Ground
Juniper berries. So smell a little bit like gin, right?
Yes, we'll have plenty of that then. It's all very evenly mixed now.
So we're ready to roll them. So rolling a meatball in Sweden is like very debated, the size of the meatball.
Well, I'll copy you.
Okay, in my house we prefer them small.
OK.
Yeah, so, and small is about...
The size of a chocolate truffle.
Yeah.
With meatballs, do you make any form of sauce with them or anything?
Yes, I will make a sauce for you. Don't worry, you'll have sauce, Mary.
I like a little bit of sauce.
I'll fix that. So while these are just to be done, I'm going to show you how to do the sauce.
Is it a different sauce?
Yes. So I have cream in this pan.
What are you doing? You've just put a live hot charcoal into cream.
Yeah.
Oh, this is something absolutely new to me.
But you're an open-minded woman, no?
I am, but it is totally new.
And then we will add a little bit of vinegar. This is ättika. It's a Swedish vinegar that's really strong.
You smell?
Yeah.
Oh. Did you say strong? I mean, it really does knock you out. So it's a much... It's all right for you, but it does... Oh. It's like when you're cleaning out your kettle, that sort of smell, it knocks you out. Come on, get on.
Yeah, okay.
How much is going in there?
Okay, so just a little...
I do trust him, but how will it taste?
So see now,
No, that's making it thick.
Yes.
Look at that. That is amazing. You put a few drops and look at it. Holding on to the spoon. That is amazing.
It's like magic.
It is magic.
Taste it.
I'm quite nervous of eating burnt wood. It's absolutely delicious. Wow, it might be changing my ways of doing things.
Now, the celeriac.
These burnt little offerings here.
Yes.
No one's keener to see inside there than me.
I'm a little nervous as well.
Gosh, that looks amazing. Right. Wonderful.
Good lunch.
Here goes, absolutely. It is a total new flavour for me, and it's so good.
I'm very happy that you liked it, because you looked a little skeptical at first.
But wouldn't you?
Maybe.
I was amazed how much flavour Niklas got into his food by cooking it over an open fire. Sometimes the old methods are best. It's made me think of a wonderful dish that is always a huge hit at our kitchen table.
For me, comfort food is all about slow, slow cooking. And that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. I've got 6 beautiful lamb shanks here, and the lamb shank comes from the end of a leg of lamb, if you imagine the leg, you know, just like our leg, and it's cooked on the bone until it just gently comes off and is beautifully tender.
Start by browning the lamb shanks in a really hot pan until they are a gorgeous golden colour. Then set aside.
So I'm going to add a little more oil to the pan. In go the vegetables.
In go some onions, carrots and celery. Cook until soft. Then add some crushed garlic.
And that's it. I'm going to tip that down. My secret for a really smooth sauce is to not add it to the vegetables, but to put the flour in the bowl, my 50 grams, then add 300 ml of wine, just like you'd be making custards. And it goes in very, very easily because the liquid is cold. Then I'm going to add the rest of the wine there.
I've brought 300 ml of beef stock tomato puree and red currant jelly up to the boil.
And I've got all those nice bits off the bottom of the pan. That's it.
In goes the wine and flour.
Give it a good stir. As you can see, it's coming just a bit thicker.
Next, a favourite with lamb, a sprinkling of fresh rosemary, then add a couple of bay leaves.
A little bit of pepper and salt.
And bring this mouth-watering mix all together.
And I'm going to bring that to the boil and then get it on the lowest heat, and I would think it would take about 2.5 hours, just until the meat is gently falling off the bone, but yet holding together. You can't get it better than that. That's just as I wanted it to look. Beautifully smooth, just the right consistency, especially when you've got some mash on the side.
One final touch. I can't get enough of wonderfully buttery mushrooms.
Give it a good stir. And that is all ready to serve.
Now for the ultimate in comfort food, the perfect mash.
First of all, choose the right potato. You want a floury potato and something like a Maris Piper or a King Edward.
Make sure you boil the potatoes in salted water. And my secret tip is mashing the potatoes into some hot butter, not the other way round.
Now, I have to confess, when I'm doing this for my husband, I think his mother made lumpy mashed potato, and he likes it with the odd lumping, but I don't, so I'm going to mash it all the way round. That's it. Now, that's beautifully floury and smooth. Then I'm going to get a whisk and whisk it. Put some hot milk in. Now, I'm pretty short, and it's difficult for me to beat over there, so what I do is I lift it back, and actually I very often put it in the sink here and give it a good beat.
My favourite is a mustard mash. A couple of spoons of grainy mustard and one of Dijon give the mash a real kick.
That will absorb all that wonderful sauce. I always make plenty of sauce with a casserole because I'm married to a gravy man. And there you have it, my slow-cooked lamb shanks with that tempting mustard mash. It is so warm and welcoming on a chilly day.
With all this savoury deliciousness, I think I'm ready for something sweet, and Nicholas has promised to make me one of his favourites.
This is Swedish munkar.
Munkar.
Munkar, there you go. Good, well done.
What a munkar when they're out.
Yeah, it's like a donut. So...
It's a long time since I've had a man on his knees in front of me. Come on.
Well, you know.
So what's that going in there?
It's a batter, like a pancake batter. Flour and egg and a little bit of cream, but with a little bit of baking powder.
So your restaurant, you have open fires.
Yes.
And how did you come into doing all this?
Whenever I travel, I like the original cooking technique. Like if I go to Italy, I like wood oven baked pizza, or if I go to India, I like the tandoori. So I thought, like, what's our tradition? What are our techniques? So that's how, and I started researching that.
Surely people must have thought you were a little bit mad.
They did, yeah.
So you're just gently rolling these round, gathering any surplus batter.
Yep.
And I can see there are absolutely no calories in here whatsoever.
Zero.
Isn't it amazing? They were overflowing, looking as though you put too much mixture in. You end up with perfect little donuts. They're lovely.
I keep on surprising you.
You do, you do. The most important part is the tasting.
Yep.
For that final Swedish touch, Nicholas serves them with a burst of cloudberry jam.
I wasn't expecting that to be so beautifully crisp on the outside. And it's so delicate and spongy in the middle. Again, something totally new to me.
One more?
Well, of course I will, yes. I mean, don't let's be weak.
With all that delicious, crispy sweetness, I think we could both do with a walk.
Oh, here's actually a birch. This is what I use when I cook. And also these branches like this, these leaves, these are what we use in the sauna to get, to whip each other.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it is.
And how do you do it then?
Well, you pick these down and you stick that into the water, cold water, and then you're in the warm sauna, and then you...
You go like
yeah, you can
in the water
and then, yeah.
And you're in together?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
of
quite
course.
good fun.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I think I'm coming to Sweden.
Yeah, you will love it.
Well, Nicholas certainly knows how to have a good time. I think it's time for me to make him something comforting, and I have the perfect dish.
And there's nothing more classic than chocolate pots. Something I can remember from the very first day that I was married, I was making these chocolate pots. They're so simple, all ingredients that you're likely to have to hand. First of all, I'm going to chop up chocolate very finely. I'm going to use a processor. And by the way, it is very noisy.
Next, make sugar syrup by adding 50 grams of caster sugar to 6 tablespoons of water.
I'm just going to stir that until the sugar's dissolved.
Turn up the heat until it boils, leaving you with a thin, clear syrup. Pour this into the chocolate mix along with 2 egg yolks.
And then just a dash of Irish cream. That's about it. I will put the lid firmly on. No tasting at this stage. Perhaps after all this is over.
Whip 300 ml of double cream until you see those wonderful soft peaks. Now fold in the velvety chocolate mixture.
Isn't it gorgeously rich and shiny? And there's a hint of booze in there. I get awfully teased about that I enjoy a little bit of alcohol in my puds. It does make all the difference. And then I'm gently going to stir that in.
Pour the rich mixture into your pots to set for 6 hours, or leave them overnight if that's easier. But keep back 3 tablespoons for one final touch of decadence.
Because I'm making chocolate truffle pots, the secret is the truffle on top.
Start by adding the crushed biscuit to the chocolate mix you saved.
And it should be a lovely, sticky mixture.
These need to firm up in the fridge for around 10 minutes, which gives you time to melt some white chocolate. Make sure you melt it at a low heat. This will allow the chocolate to form a lovely crisp coating around the truffle.
When I was trying all these out, there was a little row of these in my fridge. And surprise, surprise, when I went in a few hours' time, there were only 4. So I did find the culprit. And I made quite sure when they had a little pot, they were without their truffle.
Pop in the fridge until everything is set.
There's our little chocolate pots. They've been in the fridge overnight and they're absolutely firm. Perfect. Now to finish them off, then a gentle pour. In the centre of each one, like that, and then a dusting of cocoa. And that really disguises where you had the cocktail stick stuck in there. I think those look very impressive. I'll see whether my Swedish friend will enjoy them too. Nicholas, you've shown me some such wonderful treats and all sorts of things that I didn't know about. I bought a little something special from you, and here we go.
Great. I dig in. It's so smooth. Amazing. I'm gonna take this recipe with me back home.
It goes particularly well with a glass of this.
Skål.
Skål.
Next time, gorgeous ideas for light and easy meals.
I'm going to be helping with your school dinner.
Yes!
I've been cooking for quite a few years now. So many recipes have come and gone, but there are wonderful classics that are as popular as ever.
In this series, I'll show you how to cook some of the best of them in my very special way.
I'm just saving on the washing up.
From classic home comforts that will put a smile on your face,
Absolutely delicious.
to tasty, light recipes that take no time at all.
I'm going to be helping with your school dinner.
Yes!
And some favourites from the past that are making a comeback.
Whoa! How about that then? These dishes can often seem daunting, but I'm going to show you some tips and techniques that make them quick, easy, and simply delicious. And most importantly, with almost no fuss.
In this programme, recipes with a touch of inspiration from the great outdoors, no matter what the weather.
All in one go.
I think we better get out of the restaurant.
Come on.
Let's go, let's go.
Our dramatic coastline holds wonderful memories of family holidays. Especially here in beautiful North Cornwall.
We stayed in farms, we B&B'd, we camped. Didn't matter what the weather was like, we lived every moment. And the best thing about here is the sea. There's so much that comes from the sea that we can enjoy.
Later, I've got some great recipes that will make the most of that seafood. But it's not all about cooking fish. I've got some other wonderful ideas, like my version of a Spanish favourite, perfect for a picnic. A mouth-watering way to make a barbecue really special. And a beautiful creamy pud with a touch of the exotic. But first, as promised, all the glorious flavours of the sea in a hearty classic.
I really love seafood in any shape or form, but Bouillabaisse is the most famous French fish soup. So you can imagine the flavour is absolutely wonderful, beautifully fresh. Many people are far too frightened to tackle it and leave it to the chefs, but I've found a very good way of making it quite simply, and it tastes like the real thing. To start with, you need a good sizable pot to cook it in.
Heat some oil and add 2 chopped onions and 1 small chopped fennel.
Now, this soup has no thickening whatsoever. How it becomes the lovely consistency of bouillabaisse is making everything a puree at the end.
To start building all the flavours, you need 2 crushed cloves of garlic, a good squeeze of tomato puree, and 6 chopped tomatoes, skinned and deseeded.
Then I'm going to add some wine, 100 ml of white wine.
Pour in 750 ml of fish stock, and then the zest of an orange.
Just the finely grated zest, just so you don't get the pith underneath. That's the white part. That's a bit bitter.
Finally, I'm going to add an ingredient that I don't use very often.
Saffron is the stamen of a crocus, and it's very expensive. You don't use very much, and it gives a wonderful flavour and colour. So you'll notice that this will go a yellowy colour mixed with the red of the tomatoes. So in that goes.
Season with salt and pepper and let it simmer until the vegetables are tender, which will let me get on to cleaning the mussels.
I've got 1 kilo of mussels here, and when you get them home, make sure that they're all absolutely tight closed. And some of them may have a bit of a beard on them. Can you see that beard? Catch hold of it. This is fighting me. I've won. There it is. Now, I'm going to add this to the stock and all these vegetables. They'll cook in the steam, lid on, and leave them for a few minutes till everyone has opened, and then you know that they're cooked.
It should only take about 4 minutes, so keep an eye on them.
It smells of the sea.
If you want to make it easier to eat, just take the mussels out of the shells.
And now, to bring the soup together, we've got those veggies all soft, the fennel, the onion, the tomato, the saffron's giving it that glorious colour, and I'm just going to blend it to make it beautifully smooth. That's it. Just the smell of the sea. It's absolutely lovely. Look at that beautiful, glorious soup. Now I'm going to put that back on the heat.
While that warms up, it's time for the fish. I'm using some lovely fresh cod and sea bass. Add to the soup along with the juice of half an orange.
So let's give that a stir. Don't be tempted to overcook the fish. 3 to 4 minutes is plenty.
To top off this wonderful dish, I'm sticking to tradition and serving it with a rouille. It's simple. 6 tablespoons of mayonnaise, crushed garlic and a few strands of the luxurious saffron, soaked in a little lemon juice.
And just a soupçon of salt and pepper. And just mix it until it's all smooth. So that's had its 3 or 4 minutes, that'll be done.
We're almost there. Just add the shelled mussels, some lovely fresh crayfish, and a few whole cooked mussels for effect.
Just to heat through. Now all I've got to do is to serve it.
Finish with a generous dollop of rouille and some fresh chopped basil.
That looks really exciting and colourful. A breath of French air. How delicious is that?
Cornwall's Port Isaac is one of those little seaside towns that is a fish lover's paradise. Especially because it's home to one of our most celebrated seafood chefs, the wonderful Nathan Outlaw. As well as having 2 Michelin stars, his restaurant has just been voted best in the country, and I'm hoping he's going to show me why.
This is real Cornish weather. Well, what does it matter in these gorgeous surroundings?
Yeah, I think this is what's beautiful about Cornwall. I think it doesn't always have to be sunny to enjoy it, especially the outside as well.
What brought you here?
Well, originally, I used to come a lot as a child on holiday, but I love surfing. And I loved cooking fish.
You surfing?
Yeah, can you believe it?
Well, you must go very far. A bit of weight on that board.
It was a very, very big surfboard, that's all I'll say. But I wanted to cook fish as well, so Rick Stein at the time was a bit of a hero. He still is a hero of mine, and I come down to cook with him. And that's it, the rest is history. That's 20 years ago.
Oh, gosh. And do you do any cooking out of doors?
I do a lot of cooking outdoors. That's actually, cooking outdoors, I think, is the greatest. You know, dig a hole in the sand, get yourself a grill, light it, catch some mackerel. There's nothing better, I think.
There is nothing like fresh mackerel. We used to do it in a camper van, under the grill. You take the fish straight from the sea, 3 slashes, and I just love mackerel.
I'm glad you said that, because I'm getting hungry and I've got some mackerel to cook.
Excellent. That's just what I was hoping to hear.
Who wouldn't like to be just here? Even though it's cold and windy, I can think of nowhere else I'd like to be at this very moment. Come on, tell me.
Right, so this is mackerel with a beetroot and apple salad with pickled walnuts. I hope you like it, because it's for you. I've created it for you.
Lovely. So what would you like me to do?
If you could peel one of the apples for me, that'd be great.
Right, I'm on the apples while Nathan finely slices the banana shallots. He's also adding some fresh beetroot, but I've spotted one of my favourite ingredients.
I'd sooner have a pickled walnut than a chocolate. I think they're absolutely delicious, don't you?
Well, there's plenty there. Go for it. I might have one as well.
I think it's one of the unsung things to cook with. I love it. It's slightly sweet, it's vinegary, and it adds to a lot of sort of meat and fish things.
Yeah.
Just brings out the flavour.
That's why I thought it'd be perfect with this salad.
Well, I've left you a few. Come on.
Thank you, yeah. You eat them like sweets.
Yeah, lovely.
I just love a lot of old-fashioned recipes, and I really love British food. That's what I do.
I like to hear.
Apples, beetroot, shallots, pickled walnuts are all in. Now for some fresh green chives.
And then if you don't mind putting a little bit of seasoning, because I've heard that you're really good at seasoning.
Well, I like it seasoned, and I like sea salt.
The last couple of ingredients, this lovely creamed horseradish. I really, really love creamed horseradish.
Now, I take it that's hot.
Yeah, it's quite hot. And then just to sort of balance it all out, I've got some natural yoghurt and just a couple of spoonfuls of that as well.
And that better be full fat.
Of course.
We need full fat. It's good. You get the flavour.
You don't get a body like this eating low fat.
Exactly. It's like a very exciting coleslaw with new ingredients.
Yep, that's right.
I can't wait to try it. Good thing the barbecue is hot enough to get that mackerel on.
And also, it's very nice to stand here on
nice,
this very windy day.
A good tip is to make sure the fish is patted dry before going onto the hot grill. Otherwise, it will stick.
I reckon this little fella here will take about 6 or 7 minutes. This one will probably take about 8 or 9 minutes.
And actually, the smell is fresh fish coming out.
Amazing, isn't it? It's the best, it's the best. And I don't mind the flame. I think a little bit of flame gives it a bit of flavour. As long as you've got skin on the fish, and this goes for any fish, it'll protect the actual flesh.
Right. Just look at that. Isn't that tempting? And you can see that it's cooking. It's changing from being translucent to a sort of flat white, isn't it?
I think that sort of the bubbling skin, the lovely caramelisation of it, I just think it's beautiful.
I'm sort of ready with my plate.
Yeah. Let's take this one off. You got it?
Just in time. I think we're about to get soaked.
I'm not noticing the rain. I'm just looking at that. It looks so tempting.
There you have it. Mackerel with an apple, beetroot and pickled walnut salad. Who could resist?
Look at that. So colourful. All in one go. Mmm. It's got crunch, it's got flavour, it's piquant, and it's going really well with that fish.
I think we better get out of the restaurant.
Come on.
Let's go, let's go.
When the rain stops, I'll cook Nathan one of my favourite barbecue recipes. While we wait, I'll show you a perfect picnic dish that's so easy to rustle up. You could even eat it under an umbrella.
I just love all that rustic outdoor cooking. And nothing could be more rustic than a Spanish tortilla. Perfect for a picnic.
A classic Spanish tortilla is made from just eggs, potatoes and onions, but not mine.
Before everyone starts to write me letters or emails, I'm adding red peppers. And I promise you it's very easy to make at home. First of all, I'm going to cook the onion and I'm going to put some olive oil in the pan. Unlike an omelette, which of course you cook with butter, a tortilla you cook with olive oil. Just turn that in the oil to start with. Then do it on a very low heat with the lid on.
The red pepper is my twist on this classic. Controversial, but I love it. And after all these years cooking, I think I might be allowed.
Then the potato, just one large potato is enough for 2 people, which I've peeled, and then cut it into slices. And you can always peel a potato ahead and just keep it in water.
To be even cheekier, I'm going to add some parsley to it. Its freshness and colour just brings the dish alive.
So we're all organised. I think that'll be done now.
Those onions smell delicious, and they're ready for the potatoes and red pepper.
That's going to go on for 15 or 20 minutes on a very low heat with the lid on so we create steam, and that is until the potato, you just put a knife in and it's done.
Time for the main ingredient. 4 eggs will make a generous tortilla for 2.
So that's the egg beaten, just so the egg runs through the fork. Now, let's see how the potato's doing. Oh, it's a lovely sizzle as you open it. Goes in like butter. And the pepper too, that's fine.
Season with salt and pepper, then mix the vegetables into the egg so they're perfectly coated before putting them back into the pan.
Just level that off, and then a little bit of parsley on top. I love the colour, the bright green and the red.
The tortilla will only need a few minutes until the egg is just set in the middle, and I can then turn it over to finish it.
So I'm going to put a plate on top, flip it over, full of confidence. Whoops, and it hasn't gone on the floor. How about that then? That's not too bad.
Now just back in the pan to make sure it's set all the way through.
That's just only going to take a few moments to just seal underneath because it was almost done. But I want the parsley on the top, so I'm going to flip it over. A wing and a prayer. You see why I wanted it that way up? The parsley looks really good. So that's perfect for a picnic, or you could just have it outside, cut into squares, hand it round to everybody, drink in the right hand. What could be better?
At last the sun is making itself known. It's my turn to cook for Nathan. I know he loves his fish, but I have the ideal barbecue recipe if he fancies something a little more meaty.
I've got something to show you, and I promise you I wouldn't dare cook for you, and it would be fish. I've got some poussin, so perhaps if you can help me a bit.
Yeah, sure.
First of all, let's make the marinade.
Okay, yep. You want me to
so
do that?
I've got 4 ingredients for that, and that is rosemary, garlic, honey, and salt. So just take the leaves off those.
All right, yeah. I can do that for you.
Them.
I'll be your commis chef today.
Oh, yeah. It's really making my day having you be my commis chef. May I give you a knife, sir?
Oh, thank you very much.
That's right.
While Nathan gets on with that, I'm going to mix 2 tablespoons of honey with 2 more of olive oil.
And I'm going to put a good amount of pepper and salt.
In goes the rosemary.
There you go.
I might say it's beautifully chopped.
I'll try.
And now all we need is the garlic.
Now, when you do garlic, how do you do? I mean, I do it just either grating it or through a press. What do you do, Colin?
I usually crush it with the side of the knife.
But there's a bit of pressure going down
there
there.
is.
For
There
you.
is.
I mean, if I did that, it wouldn't squash it. Go on, do it then.
So you just crush it like that?
You've done that before, haven't you?
A few times, yeah.
Perfect.
And a little bit of salt.
Yes, I can remember in France, some early holidays, old men in the market crushing garlic with salt and putting it on bread and eating it like that.
Yeah, no, I've worked with a French chef, but he did the same thing for breakfast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Garlic and salt on crusty bread. It's not my idea of a
It
breakfast.
smelled lovely.
Yeah.
Is that enough for you?
Perfect. And in here. Now that's a really good marinade.
What makes this dish foolproof is the classic way of flattening out the poussin, or spatchcocking it, so that it can be cooked evenly on the barbecue. Simply cut out the backbone with a pair of kitchen scissors.
And then the other side. That's it. And then I just get my flat on my hand.
Yeah.
And you do just the same. And you do about...
Probably crush it, but it.
I mean, I think it
That's quite, yeah. But...
Just press that down.
That's it, it's good.
And there it is, spatchcocked and all ready.
Simple.
So I've got a bag here.
Pour that delicious rosemary, honey and garlic marinade all over it.
And then you massage that in.
That can sit there while I wash my hands and get on with the final bits. A tasty, garlicky aioli.
Do you ever make aioli in your restaurant?
I do, but I'm looking at the ingredients here, and you're doing it very different, so I'm intrigued to see how you're going to do it.
Well, let me do it my way, and then you can tell me whether you like it or not.
I'm starting in the traditional way. Lots of garlic for my commis chef to chop.
Should we have 3 just to make it really garlicky?
Emotional.
Emotional, come on. And then I'm going to take some mayo, 6 spoons of that. And do you know what I do at home? I do it round the bowl. And if I get interrupted in the middle, I know how far I've got.
These little tips are really great. I mean, they're all the things I'm picking up from you.
Come on.
I wouldn't, no, honestly, I would have put 6 spoons in there. I would have gone away because someone had called me away to taste something. I'll come back and I would have forgotten I had to start again.
Well, I've been in the business a bit longer than you, and so you pick up these things on the way around.
It's like a school day for me.
You do it naturally. Were you cooking at school?
I was, yeah. I loved cooking at school. It's my favourite subject. I think it was a combination of that and all the girls were in that class.
Let's have a confession. Did you actually take it in your exam?
I did, yeah.
So did I. It was the only one I got, but don't tell my children.
I think I only got a GCSE grade C, I think, which isn't that great, really. But
well, I don't think mine was any better, but we've done all right, haven't we?
Yeah. There you go.
That's the garlic in. What's different about my aioli is I add 1 to 2 tablespoons of creme fraiche and chopped parsley. They're my little twist, and I promise you it's delicious.
And then to bring out the flavour, some lemon.
Just half?
Yep. And an ingredient that you might not have added is just a dash of sugar, like that.
All right.
Sea salt going in, and a little pepper. And that's it. Now you taste it, because you're an expert. Come on. You're on a tasting panel now.
I'm not judging Mary Berry.
Now, honest, come on. Do I need
really
bit more lemon?
I think no, I don't. I think it's got enough lemon in it. And garlic, I can taste the garlic.
I bet you wouldn't have put that pinch of sugar in.
I think the sugar's brought everything alive.
Well, you're top of the class now, so that's good.
Well, as soon as they hit the bars, you get a lovely smell
Exactly.
straight away.
A barbecue is one of my favourite ways to cook in the great outdoors. And what better than having a Michelin star chef to man the fire?
I think when you're cooking something like this on the barbecue, it's going to take a bit of time, so the best thing you can do is have a drink.
OK, what about it then?
Oh, you can just smell that fragrant rosemary marinade.
Look at that gorgeous conker-coloured skin.
As a kid, I was a bit naughty, and when I saw the roast chicken on the side or anything that had lovely crispy skin, I'd pick it off when my mum wasn't looking. It'd all be gone. So what do you think, Mary? You ready?
I think those look perfect.
Beautiful.
Do you know, this is so tender.
And that marinade gives it so much flavour.
I don't quite know why it is, but everything tastes so much better out of doors,
Oh,
doesn't
definitely, yeah.
it? And we've been through wind, rain, and now we've got sunshine. It's perfection.
It's so good.
It's lovely.
Well, the good weather seems to be holding out. So I think it's time for something sweet and summery.
It Italian pannacotta is one of my all-time favourite foods. Rich, creamy and decadent, and it must have a bit of a wobble. And I'm going to show you how to achieve the perfect one.
To get just the right wobble, pannacotta needs to be set perfectly.
I've got 6 leaves of gelatin. Now, it does come in different sizes, so I weighed it, and it is 11 grams. I've got cold water here, and you soak it until it's soft.
While you wait, pour 600 ml of single cream into a pan.
Right down to the last drop. That's it.
And then 300 ml of double pouring cream and 75 grams of caster sugar.
So I'm going to heat that until it's hand hot. I mean, when you put your finger in, you can't keep it in. So I'm going to turn that on. Then I'm just going to keep an eye on it. Don't leave it. Doorbell rings, stay with this. Now, I cannot hold it anymore. Turn it off and over to the gelatin. Now, that's become all soft and squidgy. Do you know what it feels like? It feels like frog spawn. I have memories of frog spawn when I was small. We've got a pond and I love collecting it in jam jars with the grandchildren. There it is.
Give it a quick squeeze and drop it into the hand-hot cream along with a tablespoonful of vanilla extract.
Give that a stir.
When the gelatin has dissolved, the mix is ready to pour into the moulds. You'll need 6, lightly oiled, and I've learned from experience that it's so much easier to fill them from a jug. These go into the fridge for 6 hours. I usually do it overnight.
Mission achieved, not a drip on the side. My pannacotta is set, and when I turn them out, I'm going to add an exotic addition.
I finely diced some fresh pineapple and stem ginger.
That just gives us a little bit of poke, a little bit of something to give it a lift.
Add 6 tablespoons of the ginger syrup from the jar.
Look at it, delicious.
To turn out the pannacottas, dip them into a bowl of hot water.
As hot as you can get your hand in.
Mind your fingers.
Hold it for a few moments. Can you see there, look? If you just, it's moving round on its own. So I'm going to put the plate on top of that and then over like that. Now, it may not come straight out because it might have an airlock, so just push it like that, then it'll plop down. There it is. Now, do you remember what I said about the wobble? Look at it. That is perfect.
The crowning glory is the topping of juicy pineapple and fiery ginger.
You can't keep me off it. Ready, steady, go. Look, it's so shiny. It just melts in the mouth. It's absolutely scrumptious. Sorry, there's not quite enough for you.
It's just my luck that as the weather's brightened, I have to leave glorious Cornwall. But it wouldn't be a day in the great outdoors without one last seaside treat.
Good ice cream. Finish the day.
Is this Cornish ice cream?
Oh, yeah. If you come to Cornwall, you're only going to get Cornish stuff, I'm afraid.
It's good. Absolutely delicious. Next time, some favourites from the past that are making a great comeback.
Whoa! How about that, then? I've been cooking for quite a few years now. So many recipes have come and gone, but there are wonderful classics that are as popular as ever.
In this series, I'll show you how to cook some of the best of them in my very special way.
I'm just saving on the washing up.
From timeless ideas, perfect for entertaining,
I can't wait to see my artichoke candles on your dining table.
to tempting dishes inspired by our green and pleasant land.
I enjoyed that.
And some classic home comforts that'll put a smile on your face.
These dishes can often seem daunting, but I'm going to show you some tips and techniques that make them quick, easy and simply delicious. And most importantly, with almost no fuss.
In this programme, some favourites from the past that are making a great comeback.
Whoa! How about that then?
Some traditions never die, even though they become less popular. The same can be said for food. I want to cook you some recipes that had fallen from favour, but are now making a comeback. A French classic that was once the cornerstone of fine dining. The quintessential 70s favourite for a scrumptious lunch. One of the original one-pot wonders, full of flavour and warmth. And this heavenly combination of banana and toffee, where would we be without it? But first, a starter that's come flying back into our hearts.
Prawn cocktail was the fashion in 1966 when I first made it. The very first dinner parties that we had when we were married, an awful lot of thought and effort went into what you were going to serve. And if it was a really special occasion, without doubt it would be prawn cocktail.
This neon pink starter was once found on almost every restaurant menu. 50 years on, and it's staging a well-deserved comeback. For me, the secret to a perfect prawn cocktail is all in that famously pink Marie Rose sauce.
Couldn't be easier. 150 ml of mayonnaise, and use the full fat one. Into the bowl.
Now, to give it some colour and oomph,
I'm going to add some sun-dried tomato paste. You know, in the old days, we would have just used tomato puree from a tube, which made it very, very bright pink. This is a much more delicate pink. So 2 teaspoons. That's it.
add a lively dash of Worcester sauce. And now for my secret ingredient.
In 1966, I put hot horseradish sauce in it, and I've kept up the tradition, and I think it's one of the best Marie Rose sauces.
Finish your sauce with seasoning and a generous squeeze of lemon.
So that's it.
Add some lovely North Atlantic prawns. Make sure to pat them thoroughly dry.
If they're all wet, when you put them in with the mayonnaise, it'll become very, very runny. Gosh, it's certainly taking me back a bit.
Finally, shred some beautifully crisp lettuce. But for me, what makes it a prawn cocktail is the gorgeous presentation.
Pile the prawns on top of the lettuce. In that goes.
Just fabulous. And one final flourish.
Some beautiful prawns. How you put them is just up to you, but I think they look rather nice hanging on the side. That's it. And then take the lemon and make a slit just through the pith. It'll grip on the side of the glass.
A dusting of vibrant paprika and a sprig of parsley complete the picture.
In 1966, prawn cocktail was very avant-garde, right up to the minute, very fashionable. Well, here we are. I give it a great welcome back because I love prawn cocktail.
Some traditions are definitely worth saving, whether it's recipes from the past or an old-fashioned way of farming the ingredients. I've come to a beautiful corner of Hampshire next to the New Forest to meet Robert, a farmer with a lifelong love of horses.
Morning, Mary.
Good morning.
Shake hands as soon as I got rid of this lot.
Hello there. How are you?
You okay with horses?
I love them, thank you. What's she called?
This is Edith.
Hello, Edith. You're going out to do some work, young lady.
And just to top it off, she's got to work with a stallion as well. So
dear. You're going to have a tough time.
it's your turn. Edith, get
Come on.
Like many of the horses he breeds, Robert was born on this farm, and he's never strayed from the old ways of working the land.
Forgive me, but, you know, there aren't machines. Why do you do it with horses?
My father never fully mechanised, worked tractors along with horses and vice versa. And so Dad never got rid of them when everybody else did. And so I was brought up with them. They sort of grow on you somehow.
And how many horses would you use for ploughing usually?
We use anything up to 8.
Good gracious, you'd prefer it this way?
There are days when you think, well, I'm not sure why I'm doing this at all, but it's a joy. If it goes well, there's nothing better.
Well, we've got it all ready. How difficult is it? Will you show me?
Oh, certainly.
I have never been ploughing before.
Oh, well.
Not with horses. Well, come on, Edith.
We'll put the bridle on Norse first.
It's never too late to teach an old dog new tricks.
Come on, Edith, try and keep up. Well, you're rather full of yourself, aren't you, mate?
Well, there are 1 or 2 other girls about, I think, in the other field.
Yeah. If you've got it, you have to flaunt it.
Before I try my hand at something new, I want to show you a die-hard classic I've been cooking for at least 60 years.
I learnt to make the soup in college, and it was one of the first recipes we started with, and I'm going to show you how easy it is. So to start with, I'm going to take some butter and some oil. If you put butter and oil together, they can come to a higher temperature without burning.
When it's sizzling nicely, slide in 6 finely chopped onions. Plenty to feed a household and so economical.
You coat them all in the butter and the oil. I'm not trying to colour them at all, I'm just trying to make them very soft. Down with the heat and just let them cook very, very gently. Now that has had 10 minutes cooking in its own steam. Now I want to caramelise those onions, and you do that by adding 1½ tablespoons of caster sugar.
This is a wonderful trick to brown those onions, but keep a close eye on them. Too dark and they'll become bitter.
So the onions have been cooking for about 15 minutes. They're a gorgeous sort of conker colour, and the smell is wonderful. The next thing is I'm going to add 200 ml of wine, and I'm pretty good at judging 200 ml in a bottle. Years of experience. So in that goes. Exactly.
Turn up the heat to drive off the alcohol and reduce it by half. Then add 2 litres of good stock.
Already the soup is that gorgeous deep brown colour, but to add fragrance and flavour, 3 bay leaves and a sprig of rosemary.
Give it a good season and a final 10-minute simmer.
And the soup should be ready now. Look at that. Oh, it smells absolutely beautiful.
Find a lovely deep bowl to do it justice.
I think this is every bit as good as you would have it in France. After all, we've used exactly the same ingredients.
To top it all off, I need one more delicious morsel. Bubbling croûtes smothered with mustard and Gruyere cheese.
Oh, I love it. That makes me think of Switzerland. Funny that we should be using it for French onion soup. These are toasted to perfection, and it should be really crispy. And that's how it should be, because the moisture of the soup will come up and make it a little bit soft, and it'll be full of wonderful textures. And there you have it, a classic comeback. As good as it was in my college days, it really is one of the best soups you'll ever taste.
Back on the fringes of the New Forest, I'm about to have my first taste of ploughing, the equine way.
Oh, gracious, here's the plough.
That's exactly what it is. It's a horse
That's
plough.
old,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It would have been, I don't know, just after First World War.
Really?
Come on, excuse me, I know you don't really want to go to work, but, you know, a little more enthusiasm would be nice.
I hope he's talking to the horses, not to me.
Right, twinkle toes in the furrow. Eat it. Thank you, that's where I want you. Hold fast.
I've been driving a car for decades, but this is something else.
They're going at quite a pace, aren't they?
Yeah, they will steady down. They usually go slower away from home than they do towards.
And how would you stop them?
Whoa!
Look at that. They know
Their
your
master's
voice. They're very obedient, aren't they?
Yeah, it's the tone, basically. And, I mean, they're listening for you to say whoa all the time.
It's taken years to train Edith and Norse to work this well, but Robert makes it look so easy.
And as far as guiding the horses, you just watch their front feet. So long as Edith remains in the furrow, the plough will stay where it should be.
And they know exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah.
And you've had to train them to do that.
Yes. Whoa! Whoa! Right, Mary. Now it's your turn.
I was afraid that was coming. Walking the dog is one thing, but 2 tons of determined workhorse is quite another.
I hold firmly on here, and you're going to hold...
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they go too fast, I have to say, whoa!
Yeah, exactly that.
Are you listening to me?
Well, they might be.
So what do I say to get them going?
Hold fast, and then like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet they take no notice. It's easier than you think. Ha ha. Norse, hold fast.
Get up. Just let Edith's line off a little bit. Just let it slide a little
Right.
bit. There you go. There you are. You've got the other one. Right, you're in complete control of the situation now.
Right.
You feel like you're in control?
Well, you know, it's good walking in the furrow because it's beautifully smooth, and these ropes are just guiding them.
You watch their front feet. So long as she's there in the furrow, the plough will plough. So all you have to do is follow it.
Farming like this may seem old-fashioned, but it can have a lower impact on the environment than using machinery.
Shall I see if I can stop?
Yeah, cool.
Whoa!
There you are.
How about that, then?
There you are.
Thank you, especially you difficult girl, Edith, for taking notice. That wasn't too bad, was it?
No, considering they're pointed towards home, not bad at all.
Whilst Robert and the horses plough on, I'm planning a lunch I hope will be just the ticket. And its centrepiece is a classic we all know.
I'm going to show you how to make the perfect quiche.
For me, the secret lies in a beautifully crisp pastry crust. I'm starting mine in a processor, so in goes 225 grams of strong plain flour and just over half as much chilled butter.
And I've just cut it into cubes, just drop that in.
And give it a quick whiz. A few seconds should do the trick.
Now that, to me, resembles breadcrumbs.
To bind those breadcrumbs together, I like to add a whole egg with just a touch of water.
Exactly 1 tablespoon. On with the top. and then process it until it is almost coming together. Now that's enough.
Now for the bit I love best, rolling out the pastry.
That's it. Always flour underneath the pastry. This brings me back to my college days. And flour the rolling pin. And roll that out a little to begin with. Keep it in a round. Don't make it into an oblong. Now, I reckon that is about the right size. Let's have a look and see.
First, slip the base under the sheet. I'm going to show you the perfect way to get your pastry into the tin without disaster.
Fold in very gently all the way round. Fold it in like that. That's it. And I think this way is really very, very easy. Then just pop it in there.
Then gently press the pastry into the sides to give you that wonderful fluted edge. To ensure the very crispest of crusts, I'm going to bake it blind once with beans, then remove the beans and the paper and
back in the oven at the same temperature to really dry the base out. It'll take about 5 or 10 minutes. Keep an eye on it.
I'm jolly pleased with that. Once the base has cooled, it's ready for the fabulous filling. First, a couple of finely sliced leeks, along with 2 chopped up celery sticks, all beautifully cooked in a little olive oil until really tender.
I'm going to spread that right to the edge so everybody gets a bit of leek and celery.
Top it with some gutsy grated Stilton and a sprinkling of parsley. To bind all these wonderful flavours together, I'm making a rich, savoury custard from 4 eggs, 450 ml of double cream, and just a little salt and pepper.
So pour that over right into the corners, and that's just the right amount. It looks good already, doesn't it?
One last trip to a slightly cooler oven at 160 fan until the filling's just set.
There it goes on the plate, and then a little bit of a wobble. That's how to make a perfect quiche, a beautiful golden brown underneath. The custard is beautifully set, and I know it's going to taste delicious.
And where better to serve a delicious quiche than at a ploughman's lunch, amongst crusty bread, homemade chutney and some beautiful cheddar.
Robert, I hope you're hungry. Come and join me. Can I put you in charge of the cider?
I wouldn't do that.
Oh, come on. There we are. I'll cut you a bit of cheese. Every farmer likes cheese, don't they?
Well, when I was a kid, a ploughman's lunch was a raw onion, big lump of bread, big lump of cheese, and a bottle of cold tea. These are old boys, usually. Their teeth had gone, so it was out with a pocket knife, and they cut a bit off, peel the onion.
It's better than your old onion and bread. Now, this is Stilton and leek.
I'm honoured. Very, very
There we are.
Moving up, moving up.
Oh, it's moving up, isn't it? And I like the pastry is the best part.
Very good.
It's hard work, isn't it, ploughing?
Oh, yeah.
But you love it. You're keeping on with this craft.
The skill takes a lot of the work out of it, but it is still, hard work.
I think I should drink to you and thank you for a very happy day. And I have just started to learn another skill. Cheers.
Cheers.
Being on the farm with Robert reminds me of another hearty classic that deserves to be championed.
Irish stew must be one of the original one-pot meals. I was brought up on it. Very simple, no wine, no cream, just lamb, carrots, onions and potatoes.
I always use neck fillet, just like my mother did before me.
The full flavour of the lamb is brought out with the long, slow cooking.
Lightly coating the meat in flour is a great way to thicken any stew.
1, 2.
Add a little oil to a hot, flame-proof casserole.
Then just put the meat in, wait for the sizzle, spread it out in the pan and keep turning it until it's brown on all sides. All I'm doing is just giving it a nice crisp outside, which will add to the colour of the casserole.
I don't want to lose all those meaty flavours, so I'm going to fry up my 2 thinly sliced onions in the same pan, along with 3 sliced carrots.
Now, actually, I'm going to put the lid on there. I'll tell you why, because it'll create a bit of steam, and the steam will loosen that lovely crusty bit at the bottom of the pan. Now, that is all going to add to the flavour. So while that's just starting off on its own, I'm going to slice the potatoes. I don't know whether it's classic to put the potatoes in a pattern on the top. I think many people just put all the vegetables in, higgledy-piggledy, but that's what my mother used to do. And I used to like it because you had lots of crispy potatoes, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to have a look and see how these carrots and onion are. Now I'm going to add a couple of bay leaves.
Some fresh thyme leaves stripped from their stalks, then a generous seasoning of salt and pepper.
That's it.
Followed by that lovely browned-off lamb and its delicious juices.
Then give that a good stir, sizzling away here. That's well mixed.
But what a stew needs is a really good gravy, so I'm adding 600 ml of a light stock.
That could be lamb stock, it could be chicken stock. If you haven't any stock at all, you could use water, because there's lots of flavour coming from the meat and the vegetables.
Now I'm ready for those potatoes, just like my mother did them.
It's a bit like a jigsaw. There it is, gently bubbling away. On with the lid. Turn the heat off and into the oven for about 2 hours until the meat is beautifully tender. That looks a bit of all right. Looks most appetising, but I want those potatoes to be crispy on top.
5 or 10 minutes at 180 fan without the lid should sort that out.
This doesn't half remind me of home. Let's see how it is. The carrot, the potatoes, the meat, and all that wonderful juice and gravy. That slow cooking, it makes all the difference. Pretty good.
I know some young men back on the farm who would wolf down a hearty stew like that. Tom and Fred, 2 of Robert's sons, do an incredibly physical job. You might imagine this back-breaking ancient trade would be on its way out. But over 2,000 registered farriers are still toiling away in the UK.
That's certainly hard, hot work.
It certainly is.
And that's for quite a big horse, isn't it?
Yeah, this is for cart horses. We only make the cart horse shoes now. Everything else you can buy in much cheaper and easier than sweating over this.
So how many horses do you have here?
I don't know, must have 30 full-breds and probably 20 odd ponies and things. There's got to be 50 horses here.
Well, you could be kept in business on your own horses, couldn't you?
Dad doesn't pay very
I was just going to say, I bet he's not as generous.
No, certainly not.
But these 2 don't just earn their money through sweat. It took them 4 long years to gain the expertise required to shoe horses.
You've got to know about where the blood is, bones are, ligaments, everything. And that's why the apprenticeships are long. So you've got to have the skills, you've got to be able to do all of it.
And you do that all by the eye, you don't measure it, that's experience.
I used to measure it when I was learning.
I notice your dog is very near, knows exactly what you're doing. It's amazing to think that was a straight bit of steel before you started.
Magic.
It is magic. You've got to be tough to do your job, haven't you? I can see you've got an awful lot to do. And at the back there, I can see 2 mugs of tea. You haven't half deserved it. Thanks so much.
If anyone deserves something rich and sugary with their cuppa, it's these two. I'm pretty sure a slice of my banoffee pie would go down a treat.
I don't know whether you noticed, but there was spring in my step. I'm going to be totally indulgent and do one of my favourite puds.
What could be more delicious than a simple biscuit crust of digestives and melted butter? I use a 20-centimetre tin. Once you're ready, slip it in the fridge to chill.
And I'm now going to start with making that glorious toffee topping.
Mix together 75 grams each of butter and light muscovado sugar and stir until the sugar has completely dissolved.
And then we add the condensed milk. What memories have you got of condensed milk? I can remember it in a tube. We used to put it on biscuits, you'd put it on bread, and it just brings back some sort of... Wouldn't you like to be dipping your finger in that? It is glorious, happy memories. It's really, really wicked. So let's add the wickedness to the pan now. You've got to stir it all the time. And if you don't, you get little brown marks on the bottom of the pan, and it really does spoil your banoffee pie.
Once it's transformed into a gorgeous thick caramel, mix in a teaspoon of vanilla extract, then pour it all over your chilled biscuit base.
Look at it. Rich and indulgent. It is delectable. It's absolutely delicious. I'm just saving on the washing up.
After an hour or so in the fridge, my irresistible toffee should be set.
What's needed now is a layer of bananas. Just in from the edge, because if I leave the edge right out, it'll go brown, so I shall be keeping the air from it when I put the cream on top.
Just in case you thought that wasn't enough richness, it's time for a generous dollop of whipped cream.
I told you it was an indulgent pudding.
If you can fight off the clamouring crowds long enough, give it another hour to chill. Finish with a flourish of piped dark chocolate.
How about that then? There it is in all its glory. Not much gets better than this. It's absolutely superb. Well worth the effort, and I'm enjoying every mouthful.